Alright, combat mastery, something that we know very well with Lords of Shadow 2. Can we talk about how you're trying to change things up for Lords of Shadow 2?
Sure, in Lords of Shadow 1 you had the combat cross and you had light and shadow magic which kind of supported that. What we've done with Lords of Shadow 2 is we've added 2 additional new weapons. One's called the Void Sword, which recoups your life, and one's called Chaos Claws, which breaks enemies' defences. But rather than just have these work in the same way as the previous game, we've given both of those weapons their own set of combos. So each weapon has its own set of combos. The other way that we've improved the combat system is to introduce a new system called Mastery. Now what Mastery does, it basically encourages players to purchase combos for their particular weapon, use those actual combos in battle, and when they have done that, allows them to upgrade that particular weapon. So, you know, for example, if I want to play more defensively and I want to use the Void Sword, I can do that if I want to. Or if I want to be an all-out kind of badass doing tons of damage, I can use the Chaos Claws. It's really giving the player a little bit more freedom in terms of how they want to develop their main character.
What was the sort of inspiration behind for the actual Void Sword and the claws? I mean, was this something you guys were playing around with in the original game, thought we'd like to sort of introduce more varied weapons this time around?
I think one of the big criticisms about hack and slash games is that players tend to just, you know, hammer the square button, or they tend to just favour 2 or 3 combos. What we wanted to do is we wanted to have a system where players we kind of forced players to learn the moves, to learn the combos, and so that's why the mastery system came about, because we thought, you know, the only way that players are really going to be able to improve those particular weapons is by using all the combos that they're given, all the combos that they purchase. So it's another way for players to really think about the combat, and that's what we wanted to do. We don't just want it to be a mindless hack and slash. I mean, the focus system that we use in the game, where, you know, players have to strike enemies, become focused, and the enemy drops blood, that was something we had in the previous game, and that again is making players think about what they've got to do, play well, and they will be rewarded. So the combat is all about rewarding players. The Void Sword and the Chaos Claws itself was something that we wanted to you know, bring to Dracula's vampiric power. So the Void Sword itself is a very vampiric weapon. You know, being able to regain health from enemies is something that, you know, the vampires do by sucking blood, etc. And the Chaos Claws, you know, vampires have a sort of tradition of being very, very strong, be able to do things with strength. So we wanted to give this ability that Dracula was able to smash shields and break armour. So that was really where the ideas came from for those particular weapons.
Okay, and you mentioned during when we were watching the demo about there's a particular area we can come back later on and pass through mists in mist form. So you're going to have those sort of iconic powers we've seen in previous Castlevania as well.
It's not just about combat, you know, that's one of the things we wanted to do with this game, was improve the exploration aspect of it, but give players a reason to go back and give players a reason to find these other things. So, of course, Dracula has these abilities like being able to turn into a mist, you know, the vampiric abilities. And as you progress through the game, you get these abilities, and then you start to realise, oh, you know, actually this new ability might help me in that area previously that I went to. So it gives players a lot of reason to go back and explore the castle and find things you know, that will improve their character. I mean, as you saw in the demo, you know, we defeated an enemy and we got this new ability to freeze enemies, and there's lots of that throughout the game that really makes character that makes Dracula this badass. And not only does that help you in combat, but it also helps you with exploration.
And with the exploration, you're showing us basically with the toggle of a button to show the pathways through particular areas. Yeah. Did that, for you guys, feel more satisfying and make it to allow the player, if they wanted to have that free sense of exploration without being guided?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the previous game was very much a linear game. It was about going from stage to stage, and we wanted to get away from that. We wanted to give the player a lot more freedom. We wanted to give them a world to explore, so they felt like, you know, hey, I'm Dracula and I'm in this world. And you know, by doing the more organically growing world, as you explore, the world gets bigger and bigger. By doing it that way, we gave players more reason to explore, and it was something we got a lot of fan feedback from Lords of Shadow, from fans saying, you know, we want to be able to look around this amazing world that you've made, and, you know, having a fixed camera, it was like it doesn't really help with exploration. So the free camera was something we knew we had to add, and I think it's really, you know, really improved the game a whole lot.
You said if you don't want to toggle or play around with a camera, it'll just follow you as natural as the original game. I mean, how much of a headache was that to sort of implement that for the combat scenes? It
was something that you know, posed a real challenge for us, because you the thing about a lot of fighting games is that you're fighting against the camera, and we didn't want that. We wanted to have the same ease of use for the user to go through the game, look at these amazing vistas, fight in very tense situations, not have to worry about the camera. So we designed it in a way that you could play the entire game without having to move the camera, and we've noticed actually people playing the game don't actually realise there's a free camera system in it. So we're quite proud of that. It took a lot of work and a lot of testing. In fact, we're always tweaking it even now. But I think it's one thing that really makes this game stand out from a lot of others.
We sort of touch upon the UI for a moment, just the design, the book design for where you're accessing all your abilities and stuff. That looks like a labour of love. I mean, it looks really amazing. Can you sort of touch upon how the creation of that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we really loved about the first game was this sense of going on a journey, and and the book was sort of documenting your journey as much, and being able to tell players all your moves are in this one place, and having those beautifully animated move sets for each individual combo. I think it just gives players a feeling that this is something that it's my journey. This belongs to me. This is my journey as Dracula. Having the bestiary there, having the mastery system there, having everything in one place. And the guys at Mercury Steam, we've got some amazing artists, and they just make it look so beautiful, and all the character art, and it just really infuses the whole game with this really lovely sense of direction.
Have you seen anyone scouting tattoos yet?
We've seen loads of tattoos, some amazing tattoos. It's really gratifying to know that people have really bought into this new take on Castlevania, and we sort of felt vindicated with the first game that it did so well, and that we've got an opportunity to do the second one. So we're really proud, and we really want to please our fans and make something that's really memorable. One of the last great games, hopefully, on current gen.
I was going to mention that. Where are you guys right now? What you got left to do?
The games are about 70%, I'd say, at pre-alpha at the moment. So we've announced a release date in February. And it's all hands to the pump now, and just getting the game finished. There's still a lot of work to do, and then once we finish this, we want to move on to something new. But we want to leave something really memorable for the Castlevania universe. That was always our goal, was to tell Dracula's story, and we hope that once this game comes out and people see the story they wanted to tell, that it will always it will stay in people's minds and people will talk about it for a long time. That's what I hope.
Is there any thought process about, once this comes out, doing like a special collector's edition with both games plus the DLC?
We don't plan anything at the moment. I mean, all we're doing is focusing on finishing the game. I think that doing any DLC or anything is something that I think needs to be really considered and needs to be planned right from the get-go. Yeah. We very much are focused on finishing this game, and that's really important to us. And then after that, see what happens. All
right. How do you feel? Like you said, it's the close of the generation. I mean, personally, looking back in the framing of Lords of Shadow, how do you feel you're leaving this gen?
I think that our original brief was to bring Castlevania back, to revive the series, to make it relevant again, to bring it to the mainstream, and I think I hope we've achieved that. I think people are talking about the game. There's a lot of interest about it. I think Castlevania is cool again, and so I think in many ways we've achieved what we set out to do. But of course we still have to deliver, our final part. And I think at that point we'll be judged on it. On whether we succeeded or not, but I think for sure people will be talking about this game for a long time to come.
Okay, so I basically shouldn't be asking you, are you leaving the franchise on good terms just yet?
We are leaving. We are definitely leaving the franchise. I mean, we set out to tell the story. We don't want to sort of keep milking the franchise, or we don't want to. I think there's nothing worse than somebody who keeps talking and then doesn't shut up when they've said what they want to say. Yeah. Once we've said what we want to say, we want to move on to something new.
You've got that story, boom, that's it.
Yeah. It's not to say that Castlevania will die. There'll be other developers, other people that will come in and bring their vision to it, and I think that's really cool. I think that's one of the reasons why Castlevania has remained so popular for the last 26 years. It's because it's changed and evolved and means different things to different people.
You know there's a betting system set up for what you guys are doing next, yeah?
Oh yeah? Is there? What's the odds?
I'll tell you after this. I'll tell you so you can put a private bet yourself. Listen, thanks very much for talking.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.